We back. All right. Let us see. Have to make sure that this camera keeps exposing for me and not this screen next to me. But the wonders, the great thing about having a new camera is that it can do new cool things. Now I can monitor myself in real time and charge my camera in real time as we're recording and all of that type of stuff. So I should be good. I should be good. I gotta get used to this all over again, man, because this is like it's like I haven't ridden this bike. I haven't rode this bike in so long. So I'm like I'm like fresh off the couch trying to get back on this bike, and I haven't rode a bike in well, the last episode I did was for my album, my Babylon 23 album, which was about 4 or 5 months ago or something like that. I did that episode. But since then, a few things have changed. I got a new camera. It's pretty much the same camera, except it's like not the predecessor, what would I call it? The successor of my previous camera in the same family. Similar specs and all of that. It's just the new and improved boy. Okay, something gonna have to change. So we have 150 and 320. Hold on one sec. All right, I had to adjust something. Another thing that's changed is that I know much more about these cameras now. I'm able to manually set it up and get the settings right and everything. Hopefully, hopefully I don't, hold on, that's the wrong key. Okay, all right, we good. So yeah, hopefully I'm not saying this and then the video looks all fucked up and shit, but I don't think so. I've learned so much about cameras in the last, I don't know, man. I think I got my first camera in like September or something like that. So I just been on this journey. I actually had a paid gig with my camera earlier this year, man. I was shooting for the L Club, doing some photography for this guy. Bad Bunny was in town. There was a concert, and I was covering this club that he was supposed to be coming to later that night. But I was the photographer that was following around Bad Bunny, clearly couldn't be in two places at once. So he had me do the club until they got there. Like, he wanted to get photos of like the crowd as they were arriving and, you know, DJ sets and just stuff going on in the club before he was able to get there. And that was my first and only paid gig so far, but it made me feel good because that's probably the first time that I've ever made money off of anything other than a 9-to-5 or music. And that's a big deal to me as a person that's such a shut-in, and I'm not really social very much. To be able to pull money out of the streets or pull money out of these crafts or whatever is just it always blows my mind that I'm able to do that, man. And I was happy for myself, proud of myself even. Anyway, so yeah, I learned so many things about these cameras in the last 10 months or whatever, to where I'm able to, be a little professional, be a little more accurate with the way that I want to film and all of that stuff and light. I even had my homeboy come through. Oh, no, he didn't come through. I went to his crib, my homeboy Brandon. He's been doing film and animation and stuff like that for a long, long time. Probably 12, 15 years, something like that. I don't know. And I hit him up like, man, why don't you teach me how to light, man? I'll pay you whatever. And he was like, no, I ain't gonna charge you nothing. Just pull up. I'll show you what I know. He's not like a professional lighting guy or nothing, but he's so experienced in the field that he understands it, much better than I do. But that's not his department. He's a camera guy. He's a he does a lot of stuff on production, in production, and stuff like that. But he taught me how to light. I still don't have the lights that I would need to light properly, but I understand it fundamentally now, as opposed to before. I was just kind of winging it and lighting just however I thought was good. It's funny because it turned out that I actually did know a lot more. Like I was more accurate with my thinking than I thought I would have been, with absolutely no training or understanding at all. He gave me, sitting down with somebody that actually knows what they're talking about. It gives you like more accurate terminology and the reason behind things versus you just doing it kind of just because you think you're supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Now you know exactly why. But this is my newest venture, man. I love cameras in a way that I never thought I would have. Um, Looking into these stories of these other photographers and videographers that I follow now, hearing that they they're like their stories are very similar to mine because a lot of videographers started out doing photography only to find out like I don't really like they thought that they were only interested in photography only to find out that they're not only limited to that. They found out that they fell in love they equally fell in love with video as well because it's like a related world but at the same time a totally different world. But what you find is that both crafts, videography and photography, are almost equally satisfying in terms of creativity. The way you can capture things in video is totally different than the way you capture things um, in photos. Obviously, because a photo it's literally frozen in time, as opposed to a video being a stretch of time. But there are a lot of similarities in the way that you can, you know, compose your shot. Man, I love this shit. Like I never thought I would find something. I love plenty of things. Like I tried painting with my kids. I like painting. It's cool. I can appreciate painting. I actually, as an observer, as a consumer, I love painting. Right? That's like a culture that I know very little about, but I know that I love and appreciate the output, the art. But it's not something that I know how to do. I've tried it. It was fun, but it's like you could tell when you're doing something like, yeah, it doesn't click. Like it doesn't click for me, I guess. So I tried that. I like painting so much when I go to the museums and stuff. I love the paintings so much that I wanted to see if I could do it. And no, I can't. I won't say I can't do anything, but it didn't click for me. It wasn't something that I naturally was able to do something great with. As opposed to when I picked up the camera, in my own personal opinion, I felt like the way that I saw things produced some pretty great photos. The type of colors that I go for, the type of composition that I go for, the type of subjects that I go for. Everybody has their own style, and I'm still developing mine because I'm a toddler in terms of time and experience in this game. But I am trying to, find my niche or find my lane, just like I did with my engineering thing. But I wanted to get back to these videos, man, because I felt like it was something great that I have this bad habit, and I feel like I'm able to kind of point the finger at myself more accurately now that I've had such a long testing period of me observing myself and my patterns. And I think what I notice about myself is that I it's hard for me to stay consistent. I guess like what I'm trying to say. Really, if I'm being harsh, I want to say that I'm lazy. I want to say that I'm lazy because I want to say that I'm lazy because I'll like flirt with greatness, or I'll touch something that feels great, right? Pause. I'll touch something that feels great in terms of my creativity, and then I'll just like back off of it. Now, to be fair though, when I started these videos, one thing that I did say was that I was like, if I don't feel it, I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to force myself to do it. But I did say that before I realized how well these videos were being received um on several different platforms. Man, I went viral on Instagram few times. I went viral on TikTok a few times, and some of those videos were the same videos that went viral on either platform, but sometimes it would be like one video will go viral on YouTube, and then a totally different one will go viral on TikTok, and another one will go viral on Instagram. And then I was getting a lot of comments, a lot of people saving my videos to their favorites. You know, TikTok will tell you that. And I got a lot of people, forwarding my video to people or whatever it was. And I got a lot of comments with people resonating my same ideas and thoughts and opinions back to me, saying that they agreed and that they were, kind of happy to hear that, or whatever the case was, whatever video we're referring to. And that shit blew my mind. I talked about it a little bit before on another video, but it doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times that I saw, how many times it happened. It never ceased to amaze me, because I mean, I guess this is a self-image thing. I look at myself sort of like, not that I'm wrong, but I look at myself as just a normal person. I am. We all are. We're all just normal people. But I never thought, like, I never put myself in the realm of being capable of being received well widely. You know what I'm saying? I guess that I can attribute that to kind of being like a contrarian, or I don't know if that's the right word. But me never really having too much success socially. I don't really get along with people. I find throughout my entire life, from as early as I can remember to this very day, that 9 times out of 10, people don't understand me very often. I have very few people in my life that truly get me. And it even shocks me in that case, where I'll find people that are like me and that understand me and that like me. It's very rare that I come across that. Because 9 times out of 10, whether it was high school, whether it was my jobs, whether it was dating, whether it's music scenes, or wherever I'm at, I find it that I don't really fuck with people, and people don't really fuck with me, man. You know, so to do something that I truly love doing, like this, and to be received well for it, just like music and photography. I've had people tell me my photography is dope, even if it's even if the compliment is in the form of telling me that my beginnings are good for a beginner. You know, they'll let me know in a humble, nice, kind way that, yeah, you're a beginner, but you got an eye. You know what I'm saying? And I can appreciate that, because it's the same way that I talk to people about music, especially when they're young. Like, I can hear the potential in you, or the fact that you're so young and you're making something so great. Keep going. That's the way people talk to me. And that always blows my mind. Being received well by people, because that's not a strong suit of mine. Since my last video, this Kendrick Lamar beef with Drake has been going on. Now, I'm not about to talk about it. We got enough content on that. But one like thought that I grabbed from observing that was, I thought about how, I forgot to turn my other lights on. But anyway, I forgot. I'm sorry. I noticed something about Kendrick in particular, and rappers in general. Like, when I look around, like when I watch people like Vezo, Babyface Ray, GT, Peasy, Payroll, Sada Baby, and just people that are right around me, come from my neighborhood, people that I can understand a little better because they come from the places that I come from, right? And I watch them. One thing that I noticed that they all have in common is that people love them. People love them. Their neighborhoods embrace them. I mean, people might hate them too, Uh, Peasy done been shot at and all kind of stuff like that. I know there's two sides to the coin. I'm not, I'm not alluding that they only receive love, but the thing that I notice about these types of figures, or even if you go abroad outside of Detroit, a lot of rappers, they usually are very widely loved by either their community, their media community, or their community at large. Like, for instance, DMX, is one of the first people that come to mind from New York. Not only does Yonkers love him, not only do his peers love him a lot, the way they talk about him, but then New York loves DMX. Oakland loves Tupac. The reason I brought up Kendrick is because watching this battle, one of the things that I was telling my homeboy when he was saying that Drake was, going to win, and I was like, no, the fuck he's not. One of the reasons that I said he isn't is because I understand the scale at which Kendrick Lamar is loved. Not only because I love him, but because I am a student of this rap shit, and I know he is one of those artists that is Tupac, that has this Tupac air about him. He's Tupac-esque, where he's received almost on a deity level, on a godlike level. People love him. People will kill for him. And I'm not just talking about his friends. I'm talking about people that don't know him from a can of paint will kill for him. And one of the reasons for that is because of the weight, the gravity of his art, the way that he speaks into people's lives, the type of issues that he makes important to him and his art, the way that he conveys his ideas, and the way that I've seen people in real time react to them, the way that I saw his song "We Gonna Be All Right" energize the streets when there was political, unrest going on in the country. They chose his song. The people choose who is great. Greatness does not fall from the sky into your lap. Greatness is given to you by your peers, because real power is people. Rest in peace, Prodigy. The people choose what is great. And that saying in itself scares the shit out of me. Because if people decide what is great, if people bestow upon other people greatness and notoriety and acceptance and these statuses, it scares the shit out of me, because one thing that I learned in my living in this body for the last 35 years is that people don't really like me like that. I can only say up close. Now, the reason I say up close as opposed to from afar or whatever is because I think there is a difference. You know how they say, never meet your heroes, because once you do, you probably won't like them. And it might be because they're an asshole, or simply because they're different from what you envisioned. But I say that because to me, it seems like I have better success at being received by people or being liked or loved by people from afar. And it trips me out. It's not like I'm a celebrity, so it's not like I have a large test group to make these these assumptions off of. But what I am saying is that what I noticed about my, I don't know how to say this. What I noticed about people and the way they receive me is that the best responses usually come from people that don't even know me for real. People that don't know me love me, you know. And that's not to say I'm some sort of horrible person and you get to know me and it's like, oh, this dude's a fucked up person. It's not that. It's more so my ability to relate and talk to people. I don't like talking to people unless I know you, which is it's a weird place to be in socially because how can I get to know you if I don't talk to you, right? But when people meet me, I think what they're met with is this like indifference. It comes naturally to me because I don't like getting to know motherfuckers. I don't like talking to people, bro. I don't like it. But then every now and then I'll meet people and it's like, oh, you could watch my guard come down. Like, oh, he or she is all right. And then it goes from there. But prior to that, they're met with this indifference where it's like, I'm quiet. And I think a lot of people receive that as this sort of, like they think I'm better than them or that I'm just weird. And I can be, in your opinion, that's fine. I'm just being transparent. Just walk with me, right? I think people receive the indifference, the me being so quiet as maybe they can't trust me or that I don't trust them and they can see through it, or that I think that I'm better than them, because I've heard that a lot, not directly to me, but sort of in the conversation of, how people view quiet people. And I am a quiet person. But it isn't that I think that I'm better than you. It's just a history of dealing with people that were not trustworthy or meant me harm or had ulterior motives. I've dealt with a lot of that, as I'm sure we all have in our own ways. But me as a person as sensitive as I am, with such a short temper, and with this absolute refusal to deal with people that don't have my 100% have my well-being at heart I refuse to deal with anybody otherwise. I can't fuck with you. And, it sounds like, of course, like duh, but I know so many people that know people that don't mean them any good, but they'll still call them up to go out or they'll still hang with them. And it's like a lot of times I think that's for lack of better friends or something. I don't know. I don't know. But I can't do that. I'm not very forgiving. God forgives and I don't. I don't like people enough to tolerate the things that I see other people able to tolerate. For instance, I have an auntie that has a history of bad relationships with my mom and her other brothers and sisters in various different ways. My mother is so kind at heart that she's very forgiving, and she's like, I don't care. That's my sister. I want to talk to her. I want her to be around. Let's invite her to this, despite the history. And me, when I see stuff like that, no. It's damn near like fuck you forever. Once I see a certain line being crossed, a certain threshold being crossed, it's fuck you forever with me. But I know many people that's not like that. They'll let somebody, I won't say but they'll get crossed or they'll get, betrayed or stolen from, and they're just like, whatever. It's cool. Not me. Because I've always looked at it like, if you're willing to do that shit once, you're willing to do it twice. you know, but then here's the poetry in that. I've suffered so much over the last year or less, or maybe over the last several years, considering the amount of grace and forgiveness that people that I love have given me. This is not what this episode was even supposed to be about. But in the true spirit of what this show is, a stream of consciousness, I'm cool with it. I'll allow it. I had a whole different topic. I'll do it next time. I've seen people give me so much patience and forgiveness and grace for many of things. I've done some shit that I am not proud of. I've done a lot of shit that I'm not proud of. And then I'll watch people love me so much that, like, I don't even know how to receive that shit. Like, why the fuck are you not mad? Why are you not cutting me off? But guess what? Here's another thing about me. When motherfuckers do cut me off, I be kind of like, how dare you, nigga? Like, how dare you cut me off, bitch? But you know what I'm saying? Like, when you see people give you the grace and the patience that I'm not even willing to give other motherfuckers. Now, when it comes to people that I love, I'm way, I'm not saying I do that. I'm cutthroat with everybody. But what I'm saying is the juxtaposition, comparing the way that I'm not willing to give people that I don't really love grace and patience and chances and stuff like that. Receiving it from people makes me feel guilty. Like, well, damn, why are they giving me grace and patience and I'm not willing to do that for everybody else? I don't know. I guess the overarching message with this stream of consciousness so far is that it kind of blows me to receive love. It kind of blows my mind every time in all its forms. But I'm back to doing these episodes because, like I said, it was just burning me up to know that it was something that was working, something that was being received well, something that people look forward to. I've had several people ask me, when was I getting back to it, or why haven't I gotten back to it? And even that makes me feel guilty, but it was burning me up to be like, why the fuck would I have touched something so great and done something that people receive so well and not lean into it? And then I was watching a podcast where Joe Budden was being interviewed. I think it was Bag Fuel podcast. And Joe Budden was answering a question that they had asked him. And he was saying, when something works, I do it more. And I was watching the TV like last week with just this look on my face, feeling stupid. Like, why? Exactly what he said. Why the fuck wouldn't I, if something is working and it's showing clear signs of picking up speed, being received well, being loved, why the fuck wouldn't I lean more into it? That's how I ended up here in the first place. So while I did tell myself that I don't want to force it, I also have to play a balancing act with, I have to have a certain amount of push through. Like, I have to understand that just because I don't feel like it and it feels like I'm forcing it doesn't necessarily mean that I am. Because I know now that I've done this for so long that I do love this. This is a very satisfying avenue for me. And it, again, is loved and received well. I got to push through those times where I'm feeling uninspired, defeated, depressed. And that's what it is. That's all it's been. You know, a lot of things have changed since, you know, when I was doing this regularly. But I'm still dealing with internal issues mentally and spiritually. But again, for the third, fourth time, I'm back. And I also noticed when I was doing my podcast, although that wasn't a solo thing, so my disappearances weren't, you know, it wasn't always in my control. Because sometimes we would stop doing the podcast because several guests couldn't make it or things happened in their lives where they couldn't make it either. But what I noticed is that it's a familiar theme for me in all of my endeavors. Besides music, I'll like lose inspiration and I'll like let it go and kind of get lazy. And I don't want to do that with this because it's a good thing. And one last point I wanted to make was another thing that I worried about was being judged for doing this. I worried about being judged. Like this nigga sitting in front of the camera yapping. And I didn't want people to think that this was some sort of gossip, some sort of means for me to gossip or something. I assure you, and I think if you are a fan and familiar with the show, that you know that's not something that I'm interested in, and that's not something that I do. I don't gossip. I'm not on here to down people. I'm only on here to connect with people. I'm only on here to speak my life into other people's lives so that we can connect, even if I don't know that we're connecting. You know, even if you're just watching this and you never even tell me that, you know, it landed with you. You know, the respect of some of my peers, not all of them, because truth be told, I don't give a fuck about most of these niggas. But the respect of some of my peers is very important to me because I respect them. And I would observe how some people, you know, did their social media or the way that they presented themselves publicly. And then I would look at myself like, this person ain't even, you know, he barely even talk. He barely says anything on his social media. So I'm like, why am I talking so much? Why am I doing these videos? Like, I wonder if niggas is looking at me like I'm goofy or something. But then to be totally honest, I just had to be like, who gives a fuck? Because you ain't me and you don't see my vision the way that I do. And what you eat don't make me shit. You know, the way another motherfucker presents themselves ain't never had shit to do with the way I present myself. Hence the reason why I don't fit in with these niggas. That's it, man. This was Streams episode 31. I'm gonna cut this one short. I'll see y'all next week. Hopefully, I ain't gonna commit to a day yet because my life is still such a toss up. We are in the summertime, so I'm not necessarily running kids back and forth to school anymore, and you know, having to deal with those time constraints. It's a lot more freedom in the summertime for me, but still, my life is such a toss up because I am a single father who does this, you know, around the clock for real. So every day could look different or anything could happen where I might not be able to do this or that. I'm not going to try to make excuses. But what I'm saying is just yet, until I get into the rhythm of this thing again, I'm not going to commit to a day, but I will commit to the idea and try to get back to what I love doing, man. I appreciate you if you watched all the way here. I appreciate you if you didn't watch all the way here. Tap in with me, man. I appreciate y'all for all the previous views and subscriptions. If you ain't subscribed yet, do it for me. You know what I'm saying? We're going to continue to try to grow this channel. I did quite a bit of growing in my first year doing it, or 9 months of doing it, however long it lasted. Let's get back to it and hit that motherfucking button, big dog. See you in a minute. Holla.